streaming. I'm going to go over to the interwebs. There we go. And it's loading. All right, we are live. So I'm going to minimize this. All right, YouTube, this is Mr. Mean coming at you this Wednesday evening at 8:30 p.m. August 26th. I hope everyone is doing well. Tonight I've got a treat. I've got the venerable Brett Bernstein on the line with us. He's going to do an audio chat with me. We're going to talk about some stuff. But first, real quick, a shout out. Got some new subscribers, and I want to make sure I let everybody know. Andrew Phillipson, Ethan Blevins, and Mike Lane. Thank you guys for joining the Meanie Army. You guys are awesome. Without you, there is no me. So with that out of the way, Mr. Brett, how the hell are you, sir?
I am good. How are you?
I am great. I'm better now that I get to talk to you. So for those who don't know, give us the 10-second rundown of Brett Bernstein.
Do 2 seconds.
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
All right. I'm the man behind Precedent the Media. I have nothing else to say. That's about all it is. Let me fill a couple more seconds and go.
That's all you're getting. Suck it up, Buttercup. That is awesome, sir. Yeah, so longtime fan. For people that don't know, what are some of the games that you sell and or produce and or have a hand in?
Well, there's a number I created myself, like Treasure Awaits, Hard Nova, kind of half of it. And then there's games I acquired and brought back to life, like Shatter Zone, Blood Shadows, Man, Myth, and Magic, and a couple others that are partnerships, like Lords of Olympus, High Valor, a few others. And
just one or two.
You can just say that all the games that I produce or publish, very close to my heart. I like them all, and it's very hard to play favorites. Even though people ask me, when are we going to get this for this, when are we going to get that for that, it's hard because I have to produce everything that I can, and my mind wanders, so it's a tough thing.
Right. But it's, and how long have you been doing it for?
Since about 2002, I believe.
Right. And so how did you come about getting because you got the license to Shatter Zone and Blood Shadow.
I actually acquired the rights to it, so I own it.
You own it,
Shatter
okay.
Zone, Blood Shadows, and pretty much everything there is on the site, I own the rights to. Yeah, I think I own the rights to everything, except there's a few partners on a few of them.
Right. And so I got to get the burning question out of the way. Are we going to see anything new for Blood Shadows or for Shatter Zone in the near future?
I'm still trying to bring back all the old books. There's about, I think, two or three left. The lesser favorites. Bernstein Sector I'm trying to get out next as a reprint. But as far as new material, I am in talks with some other companies that do versions for other systems. And I have an agreement with one, but we'll see what happens. That's a couple of years away, really.
Right.
As far as Blood Shadows goes, I'm trying to come out with some city supplements, but they're slow moving because supplements don't move that well.
Right.
And so I'm trying to bring out core games, and then I do have a list of other supplements I'm trying to get out. And they're a little easier to manage. And I think they're probably going to be a little more popular as far as supplements go, so It slows me down.
Right. And for those that don't know, you're pretty much a one-man show, correct?
For the most part.
I mean, and you have a real daytime job. Kind of, sort of?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Besides designing games and keeping I mean, your website is so simple and easy to navigate. I wish some companies would take a clue from it. I don't know if that's you doing the work or if somebody else is managing it, but whatever it is, man, keep it up because
thank you.
I
do the web work, but
it's super easy.
Start out that way. I'm trying to get it as simple. I like everything as simple as possible.
Right.
People would email me and say, "Oh, I can't find this. I can't find this. This is confusing," and so I just try to get it as simple as possible based on what they tell me.
Right. Well, it can't get much simpler than that because like every imprint is on the screen there, and you click on the one you want, and it takes you right to the page. And if you want to buy it, you just buy it. So it can't get
Right.
much simpler. And correct me if I'm wrong, everything you have is also on Drive-Through RPG? Or most of it, or some of it?
Everything digital, yes.
Yes.
The print I don't do for them.
Right.
I don't like the process and I don't like the quality. I just avoid it.
Yeah, I've been a Drive-Through RPG, user for years, and I just had to finally. This is the first time ever I had to send a book back because the pages were falling out of it. Because they do a glue binding, they don't stitch because it's cheaper for them, and I get it. But after a couple of years, those pages are going to all fall out because that glue is going to dry, get brittle. You know how it works. And
Yeah,
I mean
I've never had that problem. I've had issues mostly with printing and trimming, but
Yeah.
not the binding. But the company they used years ago when it was RPG Now, I think it was Express Media. I think they went out of business.
Right.
I had hard Nova printed through them, the original hard Nova.
I know I have
copy
it.
I had, every copy I had, the glue dried out and it just fell apart.
And that is literally what led me to start talking with you because I was looking for content, as the old saying goes, everything is content. And one of the things I pride myself on for my channel is that I review the oddball games, not the main,
Right.
it's not D&D, it's not Pathfinder. I do review some of that stuff, but it's not my cup of tea.
Well, that's my forte is all the oddball stuff.
Right, and I mean, I've loved Hard Nova for years, and I did the review, and I think one of my viewers was like, there's a new copy out, right? And I'm like, no, and that's my fault for not going back to your website. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the videos, but that bookshelf behind me is 8 feet tall, 5 feet wide, and I can't cram anything else in there, I don't think.
Well, I'm packed too, but I have about 7 or 8 bookcases just like that. And
Yeah.
I still have boxes full of stuff.
Same here. I've got about 12 to 15. My wife threatens that if I buy another book, she will kill me. I'm like, no, you can't. I'm too big. You can't lift me. Can't hide the body. So, how long have you been in the industry?
Well, like I said, since about 2002.
Since 2000. What was your first RPG love?
What do you mean?
What's the first game?
Personally?
Anything. First game you played, the first game you designed. What do you currently?
The first game I played was Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
Back it was the red box back in the day.
Yep.
It's in the early 80s, I guess. And then after that, we moved on to RuneQuest, and I really liked RuneQuest. The 3rd edition, it was one of my favorite games. And then Star Frontiers was a blast. These days, I don't really have any favorites. There's a lot of good games out there.
Are you playing? I mean, do you play any?
No, I just don't have any time.
Right. Isn't that the old conundrum? When we were kids, we had all the time in the world, but no money. Now we're adults. We have the money, but no time.
Yeah, and I'm trying to tug out games so people don't complain.
Right. Yeah, because, man, it's a tough, it's one of those industries where, like I said, content is everything. And it's a consumable, right? You put out a new RPG. There are people out there like our friend Brian, who's a speed reader. You can give Brian a 400-page tome, and he'll have it done in a day. He'll have it read and understand it, and be ready to regurgitate it back and run the game in a day. How do you compete with that? And there's a lot of people out there. I am not one of them. I am a Luddite. I am a thug. I need a physical book. I can't read off a PDF. I don't prefer it.
Yeah, I do prefer physical also, but I can't read that well. I get tired, I get bored, I can't physically sit down and read. That's what takes me so long to edit stuff.
Right.
I hate editing. I got to do it, but I hate it, but I can do it.
That's when you put the girlfriend to work. I mean.
Well, I'm very particular. I want a certain style.
Right.
I want it my way, so I have
Totally understand that creative process.
Right. But it's even worse when I'm working with other people and then they submit something and I have to edit it and it just takes me forever because I got to rewrite so much. It's just I'm very picky with it.
Oh, I totally understand. Is there one game? We're going to get to the weird questions here. Is there one game you wish, besides D&D, because that's the grandfather of everything? Is there one game you wish that you would have wrote or came out with?
Probably. That's a tough question.
It is, right? It's like, what's your favorite game? Well, all of them, to be honest. I mean,
I have had that thought. No, I have thought that about a couple of games here.
like, God, I wish I would have wrote that. That was so
Right.
cool or innovative or neat.
I just can't think of what they were now.
Right.
Yeah, I really. It's something that hits me, and then I forget about it, and it's just not going out. I couldn't tell you right now.
Right. I totally get it. I'm the same way. I have someone once asked me, you need to do a show about your favorite game. And I'm like, every book on that shelf is my favorite game. That's the reason it's sitting on the shelf. It's
Yeah, I think what you have to do is when you have a thought about, oh, I really like this game, and here's why. Just write it down, and that's your game for the moment, and then you can base it off of that.
Yeah, I'm currently running Pathfinder Second Edition only because I live in Minnesota, the land of D&D, and I had to literally threaten my players to play Pathfinder because I don't mind playing D&D. It's a fine game. I don't have any problem with it, but I just don't like GMing it. And I'm the consummate GM. I'm even when I was a wee lad, my friends bought they bought Shadowrun and they're like, here, run it, because nobody else had the inclination to read and comprehend the rules, and I did. So
it was a little complicated.
Yeah, and so
yeah.
Oh, love it. Love the setting. Hate the mechanics.
Well, I like it. Yeah, the old version I like. The new ones I don't really care for. It's too flashy, but yeah, the mechanics were a little off.
Well, it's just that, it was the same problem that West End Games had, with Star Wars and everything, Indiana Jones, here's 30,000 D6s, let's roll them, okay? And that's fine. There's a lot of gamers that love that, and I don't particularly care for it myself, but that doesn't stop me from enjoying, those books. I have a ton of the old West End Games Star Wars books, because they were awesome. And I grew up with Star Wars. It was the thing, back in the day. Still is, actually. So, all right. So, what one game that you've played that you've said to yourself, nah, never gonna play this again? Is there one?
Yeah. Well, I didn't even get a chance to play it because I couldn't figure out how to finish making a character. I liked the concept of it. It was, what was it, 90s, late 80s or 90s? It was Mythic Journeys, from Gygax?
Yeah.
Mythos? Whatever, I forget now. And I couldn't figure out how to make a character. I gave the book to a friend. I said, here, make a character. He got stuck at the same spot. He could not figure it out. I didn't tell him. I didn't say anything to him.
Right.
And then after that, it was like, no, we're done. No.
We're done, yeah. I'm that way with Champions. I love superhero games. And, of course, Champions is the granddaddy of the superhero games. And I remember getting my Champions First Edition and being so excited and going home and reading it and going, what? It just, for whatever reason, it did not click for me. And a lot of my friends at the time, they loved it, So they're like, oh, run it. And I was like, I can't run it. I don't understand the rules. If I can't make a character, how can I run it? So, yeah.
A friend of mine from school wanted to play that, and we were going to do it after school, and we made characters, we just never got around to playing it.
Right. Isn't that the case with a lot of them? I mean,
yeah, pretty much.
So, and this is one of the questions that I love because I get a variety of answers. Because I noticed I haven't seen any of your games on Kickstarter. What's your opinion of Kickstarter?
I'm not really a fan. I have backed a couple here and there. Basically, either people I know or something that's what I call a good deal, like $5, $10 for something, which I think is going to be fun. I'm not going to put a lot of money into something that I don't know if they're going to finish. I really don't want to pay for their artwork. I'm sorry. I'm old school. If you're going to create something, just put your money into it and do something. I don't say don't back something. If you want to back it, that's up to you.
Right.
I really don't like doing a lot of them, especially if it's a company.
Right.
I don't want to name names, but
right.
Sometimes there's bigger companies doing it.
Well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, your company. I know you want to get more money so you can put more art and make it pretty. That's fine, but you should have been building to that. I don't know. I'm sorry. I ran on it. It bothers me.
Right.
It's a pre-ordering system.
Right. And for me, and I'm very similar in my opinion to you. My thoughts are Kickstarter to me should be like an indie thing, right? It should be the guy in his garage that has worked on this game for, 2 weeks or 10 years, doesn't matter. But it's his blood, sweat, or hers, blood, sweat, and tears, and they want to give it to the public, right? They want to put it
Right.
out there, and they want to give people the opportunity to see it, see what they've created, critique it, criticize it, play with it, have fun with it, whatever. Burn it in their backyard if that's what they so desire. It doesn't matter, but they want that opportunity. And this is America, land of the free, right? That's what we do. And so in that aspect, I'm all aboard. I love backing indie games. I love seeing the creative process and talking to people about how they got their start. Modifius is a prime example. They started working in his backyard, in his garage, and they blew up. The Kickstarter for Mutant Chronicles and Conan went gangbusters, and now they're a huge they're a big company now. They're employing
They're
a
a big
lot of
company.
yeah,
Absolutely.
they're a big company, and they've kind of shied away from the Kickstarter. Their Conan books are coming out, their Mutant Chronicle books are coming out. They use the Kickstarter to fund and get everything going, and now they have this capital. Now they're the publishing house for Symbaroum, for Free Liga, and a bunch of other different companies that are under their umbrella. And good for them. To me, that's the American dream. They're not even in America, but they've made a business
Sure.
out of a dream, and that to me
I
is
think they've done it the way it's probably intended to be used, is they give you a little boost up for,
right.
if somebody doesn't know who you are
Yeah,
and you want to bring something to market, and that can help.
right.
But now apparently they can do things on their own. They don't need it.
Yeah, and they have not returned, as far as I know, they haven't gone back to Kickstarter. And then I look, one of my favorite companies in the world is Ulysses Spiel. I mean, they make The Dark Eye. It's one of my all-time favorite RPGs. Torg, I grew up with Torg, and now they're redoing Fading Suns, which is awesome. But they go to Kickstarter for everything. And I'm like, after the first or second Kickstarter where you made, a shit bucket of money, there's no need to go back to Kickstarter. Your name is out there. People know who you are. They're getting.
What was their first Kickstarter? Was it
It was The Dark Eye.
Eye?
Yeah, and it went gangbusters. I mean, they did really well on it because The Dark Eye is the German version of D&D, basically. Das Haus Schwab.
Right. I have the previous version
Right.
before the Kickstarter version.
Right. And they went
Actually, I
gangbusters.
think I have both.
Right. And an amazing company. I mean, super nice. Eric over there is a super nice guy. I've dealt with him a couple of times. I did a review. I missed the Kickstarter for the current version, and he saw my review, or somebody pointed it to him. And I just get an email one day going from Drive-Thru saying, Ulysses Spiel just sent you a bunch of PDFs, and I'm like, who's Ulysses Spiel? Because I didn't click. And sure enough, it was Eric, and he's like, hey, John, saw the video, enjoyed it. Please enjoy. Because I had mentioned that I had missed the Kickstarter, and I love the game. I played the old, I think it was second edition back in the day, and at Gen Con one year in like 1996 or something. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. It was such an odd system and just a depth of flavor in the world that it really grabbed me. And so they've been good to me, but I just think, you've made all this money. Why are you still going to Kickstarter? To me, it's like you said, it's a pre-order system, and I think you're hurting the smaller guys out there. Monty Cook's the same way. Me and my buddy tallied up all the money that he's made off of Kickstarter. Just the initial what the post says, and it was an ungodly sum. I mean, it was more than the gross national profit of some third world countries. And he's like, he keeps going to Kickstarter, and I'm like, you're Monty Cook. Your name is gold. All you have to do is publish it, and people will buy it. You don't need to go to Kickstarter, but they do, and they can do that if they want. I don't back any of their stuff. That's just how I feel.
Assuming they go just to get paid up front for artwork and whatever. Well, it's not even up front, but
Yeah,
to cover the cost, and then send it out.
Yeah, but they don't need to do that though. They've got enough money, in the coffers, so to speak. Well, you would think they do. I shouldn't say. I don't know. I'm not an accountant for them.
Well, also better for publicity than Kickstarter.
Sure, it's free advertising, and you know,
Basically.
even bad advertising is still good advertising, right? As the old saying goes. I mean, if someone does a YouTube video that your game sucks, right? You're still going to get the couple of people that are going to go out and buy it just to see what you're ranting about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I don't want to sound like I'm against Kickstarter. I'm against what I feel is these large companies abusing the Kickstarter process.
Right.
You know, that's
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I think it's on. I love Savage Worlds. I know a lot of the guys over there. I think they're amazing, and I don't think they needed to go to Kickstarter to do their Savage Worlds Adventure Edition, the Suede. I mean, that game, you know, every time they do a print run, it sells out every single time. You know, and they're printing 20,000, 50,000 books at a go, and they sell out, you know, in a matter of months. And yet they went to Kickstarter, and I was like, why? But pre-order system, I guess, you know, like you said.
Basically, I think so.
Yeah, free advertising, because Kickstarters, you know, they do all the hard work for you, right? You just have to upload a video or a blurb or whatever, and then, you know, they do all the promotion material. So, yeah, so aside from that, I always say this to people who that I've talked to that make their own games, because the general public doesn't understand the amount of work that goes into creating a game. Aside from the creative process, taking that out of the picture, the part where, you know, the editing, the layout, the printing, the negotiation, is that a part you like, or could you like, God, I wish I never had to do this part again?
I can do away with all of it. Just get it done.
Just get it done.
But just get it done. But no, the editing's my worst. I dread it. Like I said before, it just takes a lot of energy out of me.
Right.
But the other parts, the layout is a lot of work, but it doesn't really bother me that much. It's kind of easy as far as my skill set goes, I guess.
Right. InDesign, I assume? Or Adobe?
I'm sorry?
Do you use InDesign or Adobe Illustrator or?
InDesign. Yeah, I have the whole suite. But,
right.
And Adobe apps get more and more frustrating every year. They get slower. They get bloated. I get frustrated with using any of them.
Yeah.
I remember going back in the day, Photoshop version 4 was the ultimate.
Yep.
And
probably still the best one.
Speed, it still is.
Yep. I have a customer that I'm in the IT industry. Basically, IT administrator. I'm a senior desktop support engineer for a major oil company out here in Minnesota. But I used to have a customer back in Arizona that had an old Mac, iMac, 24-inch iMac with Adobe on it, and it was not connected to the internet. And the reason being is because Adobe, you know, all the Photoshop suite and the Adobe Creative Labs suite was all where he wanted it. He had all the updates. It could do everything he wanted, and he didn't want it to be miffed with, because he tried the new Adobe when it came out and he had a fit. And so he paid me a decent amount of money to set it all up to where it didn't have to go on the internet. And then basically I would contact him like once every couple of months when Apple came out with an OS, but I would wait a month and go on the forums and make sure that the OS update did not interfere with CS4, because that was his thing. He wanted to keep using CS4,
right,
because that was the last version where you did not have to be connected to the internet. And so
I think I had CS6, and you did have to connect, I think, once. I don't remember.
To register it or whatever.
To register it, and after that, I don't think you had to.
Right.
But I had the Creative Cloud, because they enticed you with it, with the $30 a month, and then they raised it after the first year. I think they raised it up to $50. No.
Yeah.
So I got myself a copy, I think, of CS6, installed it, and I used it for years. And then I don't remember what happened. Either I upgraded the system software, or Adobe somehow didn't like it and wouldn't let me run it anymore.
Right.
So I had to go back to the cloud.
Yeah.
I got it for $30.
Went up to 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all about making their money. Yeah, and But yeah, that's so funny because as far as I know, that guy is still publishing on that old iMac. I don't even think it can be updated anymore. It's so old. And yeah, he's happy. Last I heard him, when I moved from Arizona to Texas or Louisiana, he was like, "What am I gonna do?" And I was like, "Well, you're gonna have to find somebody else that knows Macs." But yeah, so next question: do you like where the industry is going? And by that I mean games like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, games like Vampire that have been redone now, sometimes third or fourth iteration of the game, and they're putting comments in there like, be nice, don't bring politics into a game. Because back in the day, we didn't have any of that. Here's the game, play it, do what you will, have a nice day, bye-bye. And now it's all this hand holding, and in my opinion, now correct, you don't have to agree with me, but I just think we've gone silly if we have to go into a role playing game and tell people to be nice.
Yeah, I don't think it's their place to tell people how to run their games, but I don't really care. It's up to them. They can write whatever they want in there. I'm not really their market anymore, so
Right.
it doesn't really affect me because I don't even read the whole thing. I go to the rules. I don't care about the intro.
Right. You get the part you want, and then you go, "Do I want to play this? Yes or no?" And then you move on.
Right.
Yeah. Kind of like how I do it.
I can just skip it.
Right.
Yeah, if I was going to read the book from front to back, I would probably get very irritated going through something like that. Just having to read a bunch of nonsense I don't care about.
Right.
But like I said, I'll just skim it. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
I remember getting my copy of the new Vampire, the Masquerade, the new version, the latest one that came out like 2 years ago, and I was reading through it, kind of skimming it and reading sections, and I remember getting to this part where it was like, you shouldn't talk bad about transgender and make fun of someone if they're gay, or you shouldn't use profanity in your game, and I'm like. They went on a couple paragraphs talking and brought in some real world politics and everything. And I'm like, I don't know about you guys, but when I play a role playing game, it's to escape reality. It's to stretch my imagination and to be or do something that I am not. And did you forget the game you wrote here? It's about vampires who suck people dry, and are the most depraved creatures on the planet. What's your target? What are you trying to say here? And it really turned me off from the game. The mechanics are phenomenal. I like the new die mechanics and the hunger mechanic and everything. But I just thought, I don't want politics in my RPG. That's
I agree.
I play RPGs to get away from all of that. It's the same reason I got off of Facebook. I got tired of seeing, Bernie Sanders for president and why I should vote for him. But that's just my cup of tea. We got Chupa on the line here, one of my subscribers. He's awesome guy. So he's just watching. Chupa, if you think of a question for any of the games that Mr. Brett here is designed or co-designed or sells, please pop it in the chat there.
I do want to go back to that last topic.
What's that?
The one thing that does bother me,
please,
about these things that are in these games, not in the games proper, discussions. People keep equating fantasy races to real-world groups of people.
Right.
They're not the same.
Right.
Nobody ever thought they were the same.
Nope.
If you think they're the same, that's on you. You're projecting, or maybe you got some kind of bigotry. I don't know.
Right.
It's not the same thing. Stop bugging people about it.
Right.
And that's all I got to say on that.
Amen, sir. Amen. I agree with you. My friends tease me because I'm I'm Walter from Jeff Dunham, the comedian, the ventriloquist, the old guy. What is it? I'm sitting right now with my arm. I'm 6 foot. I have a 6'3" wingspan. My arms are long. This is the only comfortable way I can sit with my arms crossed. My wife teases me and calls me Walter. And I just turned 53, so now I'm old according to everybody. I'm
right behind you. Don't worry.
Man, you know what? I'm raising a 3.5-year-old. I feel great. I've got a beautiful wife. I got an awesome kid. I got a good job. I get to do fun stuff like this and talk to cool people like you. So life can't be that bad, right?
Well, it is if you think I'm cool, but that's okay.
Man, you got to stop digging your own grave there, man, because you make some cool games.
It's just satire. I'm just being sarcastic.
Yeah, you're as bad as me. I'm a snarky old fart. But yeah, man, I mean, you make cool games.
Thank you.
What's the one game that's you got to pick one now. You're going to a desert island. Your ship is sank. You don't have internet. You don't have a PDF reader. You don't have power. You can bring one RPG with you. One. Which one is it?
Always putting me on the spot.
Yep, that's what I do, man. I'm called Mr. Mean for a reason.
See, if it was one of my games, I wouldn't need to bring the game because I pretty much have everything on my head as far as the basics.
But that's a cop-out. You got to give me a name, even if it is one of your games.
I know. Just for simplicity, probably Super Game.
Really?
3rd edition.
Yeah.
Just because it's easy set of rules.
Yep.
It's easy to do supers.
Yep.
Not a lot of math involved.
Okay, that's fair.
Fantasy, I'm kind of tired of fantasy, even though right now I'm working on a new fantasy system, but I'm kind of burnt out on fantasy and monsters and things like that.
Right. I fell in love with. I found your games. Well, obviously, Hard Nova was the first one, but then I was tooling around years ago. I don't even remember when it was, and I saw Iron Gauntlets.
Yeah, that's obsolete as far as I'm concerned. I have a reprint version of it just to have a reprint. But
I bought the reprint the other night. I think last night or night before, because I didn't have it. So I bought the PDF.
Okay.
So I personally, it's one of my favorites. I just like it, the simplicity. It's just it was down and dirt
with the 2d6 rules myself.
Yep, sure.
Which you can easily do. It's very simple to.
I think all of your games. That's the genre division, or.
Yeah. Version. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, you can pretty much do that with just about any of them.
Right. But now I have a new fantasy system I'm working on, and it's kind of like I wanted to bridge a gap between old and new. So it's kind of like, all right, it's basic fantasy, but it's beyond. I have the basic staples, but it's newer mechanics. So it's kind of like a cross between the old Master Book system, the genre diversion 3rd edition system, and the Super Game system.
Wow.
It's the 2d6 rollover mechanics.
Right.
It kind of has result points like Master Book does. The wounds are like Master Book. Some of the rules are from Master Book, but the success system is like a cross between the Master Book success and Super Game success.
Okay. Is it going to use the Master cards or the card system, or are you leaving that out?
It will not. However, the first release will be just a primer, basic rules, which covers a lot. And then I'm going to be releasing a string of little booklets for it. I don't know how long it's going to take to do everything, but so I may do like an optional card deck for it at some point. I don't know. I don't think it needs it.
Right. But those cards are awesome.
They are.
Everybody loves the cards. I mean, I have a deck right there in that white thing. Well, you don't. I don't know if you can see my screen, but yeah, I have a deck of them right there because I had the original. The whole reason I wind up getting back in touch with you and everything was I did the review of Shatter Zone, and my book literally fell apart on screen because it was the old box set.
Those old ones.
Yeah, and it literally just. I'm not joking. The page, I opened it up and the pages fell out, and I couldn't help but laugh. I mean, right on stream, I was just like, "Oh, okay." Been a while since I've looked at this, and the one thing I always hated is I bought that. I saw it at a game store in Vallejo, California, from a guy. I don't think he's in business anymore, but it was Ian's Games, and they were over in Vallejo, and we lived in Walnut Creek, and you would have to drive. It was like a 40-minute drive across a bridge to get to Vallejo. And it was just on the other side, this tiny little failing mall that was going to close at any minute, and he had just a plethora of books in these giant magazine boxes, and me and Brian would spend hours going through that stuff and looking at all the cool stuff, and a lot of old stuff that he sold for the original cover price. He wasn't like trying. I don't know how he survived, but he was in business for years because I lived in Arizona or California for close to 20 years, and I went there for quite a while. So yeah, and that's where I bought it. And the only thing that miffed me is if I remember correctly, the starting box came with cards, and I didn't have the cards.
Yeah,
And so
that sucks.
yeah, I couldn't find them anywhere. And then obviously years later, I found your website. And you took it over, and you had the cards, and so I ordered the master cards, and they're phenomenal. They work. It just brought back those days of Torg. When we used to do the cards with Torg. So.
I remember back in the '80s seeing the box of Shadow Zone for the first time. Worst cover, worst box images. There's nothing on there to tell you what the game was.
Right.
I saw it as West End Games, which I always bought West End Games back then because I knew they had good games. But I'm like, I have no idea what this is. I don't know. I want to find out more. And there was no way to find out more. They did horrible marketing for it.
Yeah. And it was shrink wrapped, right? So you couldn't open it and look at it.
Right. Exactly.
And the game stores back then, most of them didn't have shrink wrap machines, so they wouldn't open it.
Right. That was the one thing about those boxed decks. You cannot figure out what's inside unless they have pictures on the back showing you what it comes with. But this one had maybe 2 paragraphs on the back. It was nuts.
Right.
It was horrible.
I think it said space is deadly, or it's not a game, or something like that. Was all it said. Just that
space is big. Shoot, you know what?
Life is short.
I don't even remember what the I have it on the website. I don't even remember.
I'm trying to see where my book is because it's in this mess.
I think it's space is big, life is cheap, and the universe just got. Oh, jeez. Hold on.
It's your. Oh, there it is. I got it.
It's right on the website. Space is big, life is hard, and the universe isn't just a game.
Right. There you go.
Got it.
Classic
I suck at my own marketing.
Now, when you did this...
I'm talking about how bad West End was, and now I can't even tell you what the category is.
And it's your game.
Right. That's bad.
You didn't... But if memory serves me, you did not go in here and clean anything up, did you? For Shadow Zone?
Just a few typos here and there that I caught.
Right.
I didn't read everything back.
Right.
So whatever I just happened to catch when I was scanning and touching up the scans, I fixed it. I'm sure I moved around a few things. I don't remember what, several years ago now.
Right.
But it takes people to understand this. I saw somebody commenting on, it's just a scan, just get it up. Well, I don't just treat it as a scan. I got to look over every page. I try to get as many stray dots off the page as possible, get it straight. I go in and I look for problem areas. Sometimes the scan, one section's lighter than the other. You got to kind of manipulate it.
And
so it takes time. It's a process.
And that's what I was saying before about people don't understand the work that goes into producing a game. Or in this case, re-editing, because that's basically what you did. You were just checking for typos or whatever, but that takes time.
And it's harder if it's a scan because I'm re-editing an image. I basically have to retype over the image, make sure the type matches the original.
Right.
So I'm basically forging over the original.
Right. And I'll tell you, man, it looks really good. I mean, and I've had this one for a while now, and it's held up.
Is that the hardcover?
Yeah, that's the hardcover.
I think I only got one left. I can't get any more of that.
Oh.
If anybody wants a copy, there's one left on the website, I believe.
Really?
But the hardcover has fantastic printing on the inside.
Yes.
The soft cover's good, but the soft cover's not quite as brilliant black.
Yeah, this is.
As that.
I mean, I have bad eyes, and so this is. It's easy to read. The font's not too small. It doesn't give me a headache after reading it for 10 minutes. The art held up well. That's one of the things I really like about it. Is the charts and everything they're aligned, at least what looks proper to me, and yeah, the art still holds up today. It's a hardback. It lays flat on the table when I want to run it. So I personally have no complaints, sir. I think you did a bang up job. So
Great. Thanks.
Yeah.
That is a personal favorite. They're all favorites, but that one, there's something about that game. It's just it's gonzo fun.
Yeah. I like I said, when I did my review and my box copy literally disintegrated in my hands, I can't tell you how heartbroken I was. I was like, this is a piece of my youth that is literally crumbling to the floor. And
just do what I do. Get some binder clips and just the end.
One of my viewers said something about some sort of glue. I don't remember the type of glue he said, but whenever he buys a book through drive-through, he basically douses the spine in that glue. And he's got books that are over 10 years old and they haven't fallen apart. And I'm like, well, that's nice, but I bet you don't live in Arizona where there's no humidity, and that glue will dry out, and there's no perfect bound book that will survive.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's what he said he does. I can't. I think it was one of my Patreon subscribers, I believe. I can't remember who it was, but yeah. And he says he does that with all his books. So I'm like, that might be something to look at. But luckily, I live in Minnesota now, and we have plenty of humidity, so I won't have any problems. And we have lots of snow. So, what game are you playing now? I think we might have touched on that. I think you said you didn't have time. But if you had time, what would you be playing?
If I had a choice of one game I wanted to play, I might do D&D 5e. Not my favorite, but it's probably the easiest thing to find a group to play.
That is so true. I can't tell you. You've seen my collection. I have all these games, and I've read 99% of all of them. And I want to play them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is a disease out there called gamer ADD, and I think I should be the poster child for it. Because
I'll join you.
I can literally go from I'm reading Shatter Zone going, God, I want to play that. Ooh, Demon's Gate. Hey, let's play that. And that is literally my thought process. So I do have ooh, butterfly, squirrel. So, yeah, and out here, Minnesota, or Duluth, where I'm at, is not a very big town, and everybody just wants to play D&D. Some will look at Pathfinder. I talked to my gaming group. I have a gaming group. At the time, I had 5 players, all phenomenal players. I couldn't ask for better players. And I said, hey, guys, I want to run something different. I'm getting burnt out on Pathfinder, and I'd like to run something different. I said, Aliens just came out. So I bought everything for Aliens. I found an awesome deal on GameNerds.com. So I bought the bundle for
I've gotten a few things from them.
Yeah, for like $90, I think. I got the book, the 2 different sets of dice, the what do they call them? Stress dice, which were the yellow with a face hugger where the 6 is, and then their black gaming dice. I bought the cards. I bought the GM screen. I did not buy the map because I didn't need it. And I'm like, so I lay it all down in front of them, and they're like, nah, we don't want to play that. I'm like, guys, it's Aliens. And they're like, nah, we don't want to play that. So then I'm like, okay. So like the next week, we play every Friday. So at the end of the Pathfinder session, I break out What's Old is New, sci-fi. Oh, God, we got to play this. This looks awesome. I should have been a dick and just ran Aliens in What's Old is New. And that'll teach you to say no to me. But yeah, so
I looked at I don't remember what it was. It was like a quick start. I saw the Aliens, and it's too complicated for me. I don't like having to remember so much stuff.
Well, it uses the same system as Coriolis, so it's a pretty easy system. It's a dice pool, and 4, 5s, and 6s are successes. So
yeah,
it's not terrible. It's a pretty easy game to run. I've run Coriolis a number of times, or is it 6s are successes? I can't remember. I have too many games.
I don't think it was so much the system; it was just reading it.
Right.
I'm like,
well,
what?
Sure. It is a lot to digest. It's a big book. It's I think 380 something, 400 pages, which seems to be the norm now. What's your opinion on that? I personally think that there is a content gluttony going on in games right now. Like, you have to give us a 400-page game or we're outraged. And then they feel like they can charge $70, $80 for it.
Right.
Which I think is also wrong.
I don't generally like it. However, if you're doing a deluxe edition of a game, fine. All right, you're going to compile all these books. I don't have a problem with that. If you're going to put this huge mega setting that needs that many pages, but it's a setting not where it's just new and invented by you. If it's something, say, Star Trek or an existing property where most people know the setting, but you're detailing planets or detailing different lands. Okay, fine, it can go that long. But otherwise, I don't want to really get involved. I'll look at it, but it's probably not going to win me over.
Yeah, that is kind of my problem right now with Fading Suns, which again, Ulysses Spiel, a favorite company of mine. I've liked everything that they've done, and they got the license to Fading Suns, which is a phenomenal game. It had all kinds of problems back in the day, and they released a revised second edition. It didn't fix anything, made things worse. That's a debate for another time, but still a great setting, right? The stars
Very
are
interesting set.
Yeah, the stars are fading. We're in this feudal, society that has lasers. It's a weird setting, but it worked, and the presentation was bang on. They did everything right, and the game did pretty well for a while. And Ulysses Spiel got the license, and they went to Kickstarter, great. And I was a little disappointed. And I'm not going to lie, I went balls deep in it. I went like $200, I think, because it's a game from my past that I adore. It's one of those games I really like.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, I can have a new version of it. Why not? And it wasn't until, and I went all in, and then I realized I started looking, and then some other people made the comment of it's 3 core books. Roughly, there hasn't been a solid price point yet, but they're talking $60 a pop for I think the world book is like 160 pages, 180 pages. For
But you need all 3 to play?
Yes and no. I mean, the players obviously need there's going to be the galaxy or the universe book, which is all fluff. It's just explaining the universe. There's no rules, mechanics that I'm aware of to this point. It might change later. I just got my playtest copy, and there's no rules in it whatsoever. It's all fluff. And then there's the GM's book, which tells you how to run the game. If you're the GM, it's the book for you. It's going to have all your adversaries and, basic GM book. And then the player's book, which will tell you how to make a character and how to upgrade and, maintain your character. And I think each book is going to be like $69.99, I think is the reported rumor. Don't quote me. But I just thought, for under 200 pages, $70 for a hardback book, that seems a little steep,
Yeah. Now, who knows? If it goes on Amazon, look at D&D. I think they're like $50. And
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
can get them for less than 30.
Yeah. Oh, I bought the collector's edition.
Way,
the collector's edition when it came out, the metallic covers. So it's all the core books like you can buy at any store, but it's the metallic sheen on the covers. And I mean, when it came out, it was like $200, I think. I bought it off of Amazon for like $89.99, and I wanted it just because I wanted the slipcover case. I wanted that kind of collector's edition. And at the time I was running D&D, so I felt, ooh, this will kind of be a neat thing to have, because I dare say I'm a collector, but Jesus Christ, I'm a collector. So
well, I'm a collector of old stuff. I like the vintage stuff. The
Yeah.
new stuff, if I see a good deal, I'll pick it up.
Yeah, I got the Superworld and the original box set of Paranoia. So kind of like those.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I never really got into Superworld, but Paranoia was fun.
Oh, the computer is your friend.
Yeah, that's just the crazy.
I need you to go to R&D, Brett. Good luck. Hope you got a clone left.
Yeah.
And then I was a big fan of Dragonlance 5th Age. I don't know if you remember
Never
that
got
one.
into that.
But it used cards instead of dice.
Right, I actually have it, but
Wow.
and I think that was like the precursor to their Marvel game.
Yes, it was. They came out with Marvel Saga,
Right.
which used the same cards, but it was all supervillains and heroes on the the suits of the cards. I love that Dragonlance. I have. You can probably, if it's hard to tell, but at the top of the thing there, if you look at one of them, you'll see all the box sets up there. I think I have them all. I may be missing.
Yeah, I had 2 of them. I don't know what the second one.
All in the original box sets, so.
But I got that years later when I was collecting the vintage stuff. Back then, once I got RuneQuest, I never went back to D&D.
Right. Oh, many hours of joy with RuneQuest. and still to this day, I think a damn playable game, in my opinion.
I think I would still go back to the third edition over anything now.
I would tend to agree with you. I would. And then let's see what else. Trying to just. I was hoping some more people would tune in and ask some questions, but it's kind of late and it was short notice. I don't do a lot of advertising. I'm my own worst enemy. But I'll get the views afterwards. People will watch it once I upload. This will upload automatically. So once we hit stop, it's uploading as we speak. So we've got a couple people watching. So if you're watching, jump in the chat there and ask Brett a question. He's been in the industry since 2000. He has a wealth of knowledge. What's one game designer you'd like to work with? Either past or present.
I don't know much about is it Shane Hensley?
Yeah, Savage Worlds.
I mean, I've corresponded with him a few times. Nothing big. I know of him. I know his work, and I think it would probably be fun to work with something. Work on him.
I will tell you, he lived in Arizona at the same time I did, so we would see each other at the cons, and super nice guy. Got his start with Torg.
Yeah, I think he did some Shadow Zone stuff. Yeah, I think he did not Shadow Zone, Blood Shadows.
Blood Shadows, yeah.
I think I did something in the Wilderness book for that.
Yeah, I believe he did. Super nice guy. I've played in a number of his games, and he runs some phenomenal games. Pretty, just all around fun guy. Very salt of the earth, nice guy. I mean, always a kind word for everybody. I don't think I've ever heard him say anything negative, which is cool. Sean Patrick Fannin, same way. Super nice guy.
Yeah, I've had some interaction with him. Seems like an okay guy.
Yeah, it's funny. A couple of years I was living in Texas, and they have Chupacabra Con, which is a little local southwestern gaming convention. It's a tiny little rinky-dink little convention. But Sean Patrick is a huge fan of it. And so he would go every year. And I went one year with my wife, and I was going there for Dungeon Crawl Classic for Goodman Games. I was going to run a demo, so I got free entrance to the convention. Goodman Games, gave me a bunch of swag to give away, because I like to do that stuff. It's fun for me. And so I get there, and they don't know who I am. They don't have and 2 days before, I said, look, guys, I'm getting ready to drive. I just got laid off. I really don't have the money to spend, but I made this commitment, so I'm going to follow through. I want to make sure everything's okay. Oh, yeah, everything's good. We got your badge waiting for you. Just show up, tell the people at registration who you are, and you'll get everything you need. Have a great day. Perfect. I get there. I'm sorry, who? Who are you with? What game company? We've never heard of that game company. We can't help you. Excuse me? I just drove 4 hours for you to tell me you don't know who, what, wait, what? I was livid. But we were there, and I wasn't going to drive 4 hours back. And, it was just one of those things that it was not a good time. And Sean Patrick Fannin was there, and I played and they were, at that time, they were developing riffs for Savage Worlds. And so I got to play in the game. And I know Sean, and he recognized me. And so he took good care of me and everything. He was a super awesome guy. And so I left the con. I went home. I did my after con report, and I just blasted them. I was like, they had boxes over the water fountain so that you'd have to buy their $4 bottle of water, that kind of thing. And the food was nasty, and you couldn't bring food in. They would actually kick you out if you if you had Pizza Hut delivered. I mean, it was just draconian in its atmosphere. And it was super crowded. Like, they didn't have enough room, and just not a good time had by me or my wife. And my wife is not a gamer. So for her to be in that situation just exasperated it and made it even worse. And so I blasted him. So like 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from one of my friends. He's like, hey, have you seen Sean Patrick's vlog? And I'm like, no. He's like, go look. and it's Sean talking about me and how I'm blasting ChupacabраCon for the shitty con that they put on, and how I was just totally horrible weekend and blah blah blah. And he's basically berating the guys at Chupra and saying, you guys need to take care of John, blah blah blah. And like literally in hours I get a phone call, we got you a comp badge, we're paying for your hotel, let us know when you get here, we'll have someone meet you out front and help you with your bags. I mean, it was like the AAA treatment, and I was just like, and the next year I went, and I obviously I didn't have to pay for a thing, and they took really great care of me, and the convention was a lot more fun, to use bad English, and they had gotten a bigger venue and everything, so it was a good time had, and of course I went and did an after con report stating as such, because I believe in fairness. They had a chance, right. They made it right, they did a good job, and the con was a lot of fun, and my wife even had a good time. So that was important, So Sean, good guy in my book. Shane, great guy. All those guys over there, Clint Black, Jody Black, all super nice people. Dealt with them several times. So, yeah. See, I think we've hit all the hard-hitting questions. If you could live in any game world, if you had the power to do the Thanos and snap your fingers and make it real, which one would it be?
Have these hypotheticals that I blank as soon as you answer something like that.
I like to stump you.
Well, it's hard to think. I deal with this stuff all day long, and it's hard to think about any particular world. I'm blank on all of it.
It's like I work on computers all day, and then I come home and my wife's like, my computer won't do this. I'm like, what? No, I'm not doing that. Figure it out. I'm going to bed.
Well, Shadow Run would be pretty neat. As long as you had money in the game, in the world.
Right. Yeah. It would suck to be poor in that world.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you can take care of yourself, I think that would be pretty neat with the different things going on, the technology and the fantasy races.
Yeah, I would. I think I would choose either that one or Cyberpunk, and I think I would lean. As much as I love,
I would do Cyberpunk.
No, that's a hard world, but I do love that genre, and I think I would lean more towards Shadowrun only because of the fantastical, right? Elves, dragons,
right.
We all got our start with fantasy because that's all there was back in the day, So, what's your take on miniature games? A fan or not a fan?
Miniature games, solely miniature games, or role playing games of miniature?
Either or. I mean, you got games like Frostgrave, Gaslands, that kind of bridge that gap between role-playing games and miniature games. Have you played any?
I have to be in the mood for a miniatures game because it's just more work because everything's got to be measured. So as long as I'm in the mood for it, I like it.
Right.
If I'm lazy and we just want to use imagination, then I don't want to deal with it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they're great games. There's a lot of great games in that venue.
Right. Tons of great games. So many games, so little time. I got people that want me to play in their online games, and I'm like, look, guys, I'm tired when I come home from work, And of course, right now with the state of the world, I'm working remotely, and I'm grateful. I have a good job, but I stare at a computer screen for 9-10 hours a day. I don't want to come home in my free time and stare at a computer screen, So it's like, as much as I would love to play more, because I really would. Like I said, I'm always the GM. I would love to play more. It's just I don't have the inclination to sit. If it's sitting around the table with friends, and pizza and a cold beverage, sure, I'm down for that. I'll make time for that. But staring at a computer screen, really not my cup of tea for the online gaming thing. I think it's neat. It's innovative. I think it is the wave of the future. It's great. Like, Brian lives in California. I live in Minnesota. So, we're about as far apart as you can get for the most part. So that's our only way to game. And we have a Sunday night. We have a Sunday night D&D game that he coerced me into playing. So I went balls deep. I'm playing a drunken cleric, dwarven cleric, which I'm having a blast with it. And the players are all great. So, it's always good when you have a good group and everybody's invested in the game. So, well, Brett, is there any other projects besides the fantasy game coming up that you want to tout or talk about or give a shout out to?
Well, pretty soon I'll be releasing an OSR style dark horror game, which is Dark Horrors and Hidden Places.
Ooh.
That's almost done, so a couple weeks on that probably. Could probably look. I've been bringing back the Man, Myth, and Magic line, fantasy game back in the '80s, and there's a whole bunch of adventures that go along with it. So we're up to episodes 1 through 4 came in the set in the original book. Episodes 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are separate. So I've done 5, 6, and 7. 8 and 9 are next, and then the Egyptian trilogy, which is I think 3 adventures in one book for that, which is fantastic. I can't wait to get to that one.
Well, I know this YouTube guy that does reviews. I can put in a good word with him, if you want some, just tossing that out there. He might.
Sure.
He's kind of an asshole.
Sure, yeah, I've heard.
I heard. Thank you.
Well, I gotta say though, this Man, Myth, and Magic is tough. Is a tough sell. You either love it or you hate it.
But it's
old school, and it's not the prettiest game to look at because it's a reprint. It looks just like the original.
Right.
And the layout skills back then. I mean, they didn't have computers back then.
Yeah, they had typeset.
So it was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was rough. A lot of crooked sections I had to straighten, even though I couldn't get them all. It was a pain. So, but the system is a percentage-based system, which is, again, not for everybody.
Right.
It's a little odd, but it's a fun game. The adventures are great. And that's what makes it.
Yeah.
The ongoing adventures. So,
well, I mean,
happy with that.
Look at Dungeon Crawl Classic. I mean, there's a bastard of a game if there ever was one, and people love it because it's not old school. It's built on old school, but it's also built on 5th edition, and people love it.
My problem is I just don't like all the dice you need for it.
The Xochi dice. Yeah, I mean, I have a couple sets because, like I said, I demo it at conventions, so for me it's not a problem, but. And remember, you don't have to use those dice. They give you conversions, but again, that's reading, and it's nice when you can pick up a D3 and roll it, and not have to do a D6 and try to convert it in your head. Because when you get old like us, that gets hard.
So I would prefer something. If I was going to do an OSR game, if I was going to do a system like that, or play a system like that, it would be just much simpler. It wouldn't be all those bells and whistles.
Yeah, well, it is, but. I think what attracts a lot of people is the art, and that the art is that old school Renaissance, that old, the Gary Gygax Monster Manual,
it's a beautiful book.
I have 3 copies sitting up there on my shelf, so I backed one of the Kickstarters for that. I think it's the latest with the 4th edition, and I got the deluxe leather cover just because at the time I had the money, and I just backed their latest one. Which is the Asian futuristic. I forgot what it's called. I don't even remember. But I mean, that's a no-brainer. If they put something on Kickstarter, I'm probably gonna back it. But then again, it's been 4 or 5 years since their last Kickstarter, so it's not like they're doing it to keep money. They've put out tons of stuff since then. This was the thing that they wanted to do, and they got the rights to do it. So I'm pretty excited about it. It should be shipping pretty soon. They're really good about their Kickstarters too. When they do a Kickstarter, they say it's going to be out here. You usually get it right then and there. So they're pretty good about it. But so you got that. You've got another fantasy game. Is that the one you were talking about earlier? The OSR game, or is that a different game?
Dark Horrors and Hidden Places is OSR. Dark horror. It's not really. It's more like Edwardian times.
Okay.
The Man, Myth, and Magic is its own thing, but I do have a fantasy system. Like I said, I'm working on it. There would be a primer version out first, just the basic rules. Nothing fancy, cheap. But I don't know when that's going to be completed. It's getting there. I'm working on parts of it. And then there's other. There's also expect another OSR game out. I was never big on OSR, and all of a sudden I'm doing this.
You're doing a bunch of them.
What happened?
Why is that?
Lasers
I mean,
and six-siders.
what's it called?
Lasers and six-siders.
Ooh.
It's a sci-fi version of Swords and Six-Siders, which is a free download. But there's also an expanded version, which is $5 for the PDF, $20 for the softcover. And we can do the same thing with lasers and six-siders. Can't get the words out. Tongue twister. It's a sci-fi version. It's kind of like take Hard Nova and make it OSR, but it's not the Hard Nova universe. It's
Right.
Although I'll probably do an adaptation at one time.
Because that's a great universe. I mean,
it's fun.
Yeah.
It's just a little different.
what was neat about Hard Nova is you could pick it up. You know, it was that pamphlet size, but there was enough meat in there that you could bite onto it and you could run a fun game.
Well, what happened was the adventures would lead you to a certain direction.
Right.
Where it kind of defined the universe as it went.
Right.
And so by the time I did the revised edition, or revised and expanded edition, it pretty much had a fleshed out universe in the adventures.
Right.
I mean, there was aspects of it. And so in that, it was a little complicated because I had the adventures take place kind of in sequence, some of them at least. So events happen at certain times. So I had to have two universe descriptions, one with the pre-adventures and one post-adventures. So it all tied everything together. It's a bit of a challenge, but it worked.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely interested in seeing it for sure. Is Hard
You should
Nova?
have it. Either the Hard Over.
Oh, Hard Nova. Yeah, I have Hard. Yeah.
For Laser and Six-Siders.
Right.
That doesn't have really a universe per se. It's more just a system. It's like Space D&D. It's just an implied setting.
Right.
But there's no specific races. They're all oids. In other words, there's humanoids, there's reptilians, there's
Right.
silicoids, mechanoids, and you make the race any way you want it.
Right. That sounds cool. I mean, is Hard Nova available in print through you?
Yeah. Well, you get it through the website, or you can get it on Amazon.
Oh, yeah, it is on Amazon.
Yeah.
Oh.
The revised and expanded edition, it's called.
Yeah, because I have the PDF, and thank you kindly for sending me all of those, by the way.
Sure.
But I want a hard copy of it because, like I said, mine disintegrated. Pages literally fell out. That one and Shadow Zone, and I did buy the Shadow Zone, and it was like I said, one of my viewers said, you can buy it. It's on PI Games website, and I'm like,
it again, right.
yeah, I'm like, no, it isn't. Yeah, I didn't believe him. I was like, you're yanking my leg. Stop it. And he's like, no, go send me the link, and sure enough, so I bought it, and I got it.
If you get it from the website, then it also comes with the PDF, not only of the book, but you also get the PDF of the cards if you want to print them out yourself.
Yes, but like I said, I bought the master cards separately.
Or you can just order the cards, the
Right.
physical cards.
I bought the actual cards, and very happy with them. Now, if I could get these mooks here in Minnesota to just play it, that would be awesome because I think it's a lot of fun. I would actually start them out with Hard Nova because it's a lot easier.
Much easier.
Yeah.
But what I do is I like the third edition Genre Diversion rules, so that's roll over 2d6 as opposed to roll under
Right.
the old rules. So I prefer that. So I would just there's a conversion note for that in the Genre Diversion 3 manual.
I believe I
It's not
have that.
essential.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have that. I did go to your site back months ago, years ago, and downloaded pretty much everything that you had for free.
I'm kind of skipping over. I want to redo all those, Hard Nova, Kyrie Trail, and all that, but I'm skipping over Genre Diversion 3E because I'm going to be using the new set of rules, which is that fantasy game I'm talking about. It's
Right.
also a generic system as well. So I did play test of the basic system, and now I'm working on the fantasy version. So that eventually, if I redo them, this is the system, which is very similar to Genre Diversion 3, but even more simplified. In other words, like in Harnova, there's abilities, skills, and gimmicks.
Right.
Well, I'd get rid of the skills.
Oh.
You have primary attributes, which are now they're different. It would be prowess, brawn, insight, and wits. Okay, so it's only 4 now. And then we don't have skills, we don't have pursuits as they're called in 3.8. Now they're called compound attributes. Because they could be anything that adds a modifier to the attribute in question. So it could be plays well with others, +1 to wits, or
Right.
whatever. And then we don't have gimmicks, they're special attributes. But, same, you don't need as many gimmicks. Because the gimmicks are also now compound attributes. If they have a bonus, they go to that. If it's something you need a new rule for, it's a special attribute. And that's it. That's your character. Other than
Right.
health. That's
Well,
your
and
character.
you're also talking about
simplify.
you're talking about a 2d6 system, right?
Same 2d6 roll.
Right. So I mean, you've only got
scale.
you've only got a certain margin, from 2 to 12 to deal with, and then of course modifiers. So there's only so much, if you start adding too much, then the rules just gobble themselves up, and it's
Well, not really, because even with 3rd edition, you have contested tasks against an opponent. It doesn't matter what you're rolling. It doesn't matter how high the numbers are. There could always be somebody better than you.
right.
Or you can have a difficulty so much higher, it doesn't matter. So you don't get trapped into the scale issue. with
Okay.
that. But, I mean, you could. But
Right.
there's other things in there now with the new rules, like the double 6s, you roll an extra die, stuff like that.
Is there a time frame of when you're thinking this is going to hit the market?
I want to get the fantasy game in the next couple of months, but initially it's only going to be in the May Wii group,
Okay.
the Precious Intimina May Wii group. Initially it's only going to be released there. Just I want to get some feedback first.
Right.
So it'll be done, but I just want initial feedback, and then I'm going to pretty it up a little, some art, and then I'll have a general release. It's going to be cheap. I don't know yet. Under $5 for
I was going to
feedback.
say, no one can complain about the prices of your games, first of all. And if they do,
Well,
they're just a skinflint. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing on your site that's terribly expensive.
Something like this, I want cheap because I would give it away for free. But I find that add a couple dollars in there, people are going to take it a little more seriously.
Right. And you should,
So-
to be honest, you should be paid for your time and your effort. I mean,
I don't really mind. I don't mind it. I don't mind that part. I want there to be usage. I want people to want to play it. I want people to give it a shot. If you download stuff for free, half the time that's just going to some folder somewhere on your hard drive
Right.
at the end of it.
right. And then you see it because the opinion is, oh, I've got it. I'll run it whenever because there's no rush. Whereas if
Right.
you pay for something, even if it's $5, you're like, hey, I paid for that. I want to get some use out of it, So yeah, I could totally see that. Well, I can tell you right now, I will twist my group's arm to give it a try when it comes out. I will definitely, and I'm on the MeWe group. I post on your site every so
like
often.
I said, it's going to be there first. You just download it.
Sure.
And now it won't be the pretty version, but it'll be the full
Functional.
text,
Yeah.
full playable version.
Yeah. And that's all you can ask for, man. I mean, A, you're getting it for free, and B, you're asking for feedback. You're asking, what works, what doesn't work, and can't ask for more than
Right.
that. And there's a lot of people.
It's pretty much finalized. It's just a matter of I'm editing it. I'm adding a few things here and there, and then I just want to see what people's opinions are, and then I might change something. I doubt it because I think it's pretty good the way it is, but you never know.
Yeah, and the nice part is, another set of eyes, as the old saying goes, may see something that you have missed.
Right.
And then you might be like, whoa, epiphany, and this reflects that, and that reflects this, and I think that kind of process makes to a better product at the end of the day. And if nothing else, you can look at it and go, no, I think you're wrong. I like it the way it is. But, the flip side of that is it's your game. You can do with it as you will.
Right. Well, like I said, I already had the previous version. I had 2 previous versions, more of a generic in nature, on the MeWe group for play testing. So
Right.
I got enough feedback on it where The only thing that was questionable in my mind was the damage system, but I fixed what I perceived as an issue, and now, again, that's different from the genre diversion rules. It's more like a master book and shatter zone damage system.
Right.
So the values are actually a little higher because you use your level of success plus your damage and minus toughness and all that. Kind of like Savage Worlds also.
Right. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it sounds fun, actually.
Yeah, but the problem I saw with Shatter Zone is you can get like 20 result points and that's it. The guy's dead. There's no contest.
Right.
You got lucky. He's gone.
Yeah.
With this, it limits. You don't get 20 result points. There's different levels of success. Kind of like in Shatter Zone, you have different levels of success.
Right.
You have, I don't remember what they're called now, basic, something spectacular.
Right.
It's similar. You get fair, good, solid, awesome. And then you get a bonus for each one. And so that bonus is what goes towards damage.
Right. Well, it sounds, I'll definitely check it out. How are you, I don't know if you were on Facebook before, but are you enjoying your space on MeWe? Is it value added for you?
Yeah. It kind of replaces the old G Plus group.
Right.
Where it's a totally different experience from Facebook, where you have people really actually want to have discussions, whereas in Facebook it's more about arguments.
Right. And that's I mean, I've been off of Facebook now for right at 2 years, and I don't miss it at all. I mean,
Wow.
my wife is on it, so when I want to see stupid people, I just go look at her feed. You know?
There's some groups I like vintage RPGs and stuff
Sure.
like that I like.
Yeah.
But I think there's one on MeWe. I don't know if they're connected or not. No, I think MeWe's more personal than the Facebook groups. Well, it's weird because on Facebook I have a Facebook page.
Right.
So nobody can really comment. Well, I mean, they can comment. Nobody can really discuss anything. It's on post by post, you know.
Right.
Whereas on MeWe, it's not a page; it's a group.
Right.
So,
and you can have dialogue.
Right. I could have had a group on Facebook, but it just didn't work out that way because I figured you had to have a page. I don't know. They don't really explain anything on these sites when you sign up.
No.
You don't know what you're doing, and it's all trial by error.
I will say, MeWe, however you want to say it, I like them just because there's not a ton of asshats on it. I mean, it's and like for me, the only thing I care about in my social media is my role playing stuff and my miniature games. And so with MeWe, that's all I get. I don't get any political post. I don't get anybody trying to sell me, extended insurance coverage or anything or titties on the screen that I don't want to see, that kind of thing. That things that might offend
I see them all
my
the time on the whatever they are, bots or whatever. They keep infiltrating different groups.
Right, and MeWe does a pretty good job, and they I know I reported one yesterday on the Warhammer group. Some chick that was like, full nude, and she's like, want to see more pics of me? Click here, and I'm like, just report post is all you got to do, and it's gone. They remove it immediately.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, so and that's great because I have a toddler running around. He doesn't need to see that, So I don't feel bad if I leave because those are few and far between. But for me, I don't do a whole lot on MeWe except spread my channel for the most part. There's a couple of channels I follow. I follow yours. I follow Warhammer 40K just for the art because I dig a lot of the art for Warhammer, and I'm trying to play Warcry, but I just can never. I'm playing Frostgrave and Rangers of the Shadow Deep right now with a good friend of mine, and because that's just a fun game and it's cooperative, so it's not my army against your army or anything like that, and victor, go the spoils. It's cooperative, and we're trying to. It's a narrative, so it's like a role playing game with no GM. And you're using miniatures, and we have terrain and everything. So it's a win-win for us, and we're really enjoying it, the Rangers of the Shadow Deep. And I'm waiting for Frostgrave 2.0 to come to me in the mail. It's already shipped, and that's a really fun game as well. And so
that's Green Ronin, right?
No, Frostgrave is by Joseph McCullough from Osprey Press, or Osprey Grange.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could have sworn Green Ronin had something like that. I can't keep track.
Well, they have Fantasy Age, and then of course they did a Song of Ice and Fire, and then they've got.
I guess I'm mixing up Fantasy and Dragon Age.
Well, Dragon Age, yeah, they did the role playing game, which is where their
Yeah.
Fantasy Age line came from, because they did Dragon Age, phenomenal
Yeah,
game.
I'm just mixing the name up.
Yeah, great game. Green Ronin does a lot of cool stuff. I'm a big fan of just about everything they make. But there's obviously not enough hours in the day. But it is 9:30, sir. I think we have blabbled on for quite a while. And it was an immense joy to pick your brain and learn a little bit about your world. I appreciate you coming on the channel very much. And if you ever want to come on and talk about one of your games or promote it, I'm more than happy to host you. And I don't have a ton of subscribers. I think I'm up to 740, but I do this for fun, and I think my fans are some of the most loyal fans out there. So I know you saw on the Discord page, there was a couple people who were excited to hear that you were coming on. So I know a lot of people will watch this, tomorrow while they're at work or relaxing or whatever.
Oh,
but
I'd love to come back some other time.
Oh
Great.
yeah, I'd love to have you, man. It was.
I'm surprised you want to put up my rambling, but that's okay. That's on you.
Well, I'm a glutton for punishment, as the old saying goes. I'm mean. I'm just mean. That's all. I'm at that point in my life where I don't give a damn if you don't. I tell you what. I get criticism on my channel. It's mostly, I would say, 99% constructive. But every once in a while, I'll get the guy that says, "Oh, yeah, you babbled about something. It took 20 minutes to get to the point." And I'm like,
But
dude.
that's the beauty of YouTube.
Right.
People ramble and it takes them an hour to get to whatever they're supposed to be talking.
And the point is, again, it's YouTube. You can just click off. You never have to see my ugly mug ever again. That's all you have to do. Oh, Alan Bray says he missed the alert for the start, but I'll watch it till the end and watch it again tomorrow. Well, thank you, Alan. I appreciate it. If you've got a question for Brett or any of his games, get it up there real quick so we can ask him. I don't want to tie him up. He's old like me, so.
Yeah, get the question up now if you got it. And
if not, it'll be posted in the chat.
Or come to the website, post on the message boards, or go to Facebook, find me, go to MeWe and find me.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a fan of MeWe. Does your forums get a lot of use, or are you happy?
Not since social media took over, but I don't think any really do, except for RPGNet and the RPG site. I don't. And what's the other one? RPG. Shoot, there's another one. I can't remember what it's called. I go there all the time. RPG. Hold on.
Reddit?
No, I don't do Reddit. RPG Pub.
Oh, RGB. Yeah, I was on there. I haven't been there in years. I find Discord works for me because I don't mind trolling through the backlog, to find something that's interesting. But Reddit is Reddit's falling into the category of Facebook for me. I don't want to see all the political ads. I don't want to see, your 25 cents can feed a Guatemalan child for 6 years. I don't care. I don't want to see that. Oh, Alan, I was going to stay away from this because I know I know a little bit of the story behind it, but Alan is asking why the name change from politically incorrect to Priestess Enemy. Is that something you care to elaborate on, or just leave it that it was changed?
There's no big conspiracy. There's no big story. I just wanted to get a more generic kind of name. And I know there was another politically incorrect games at the time.
Right.
And they wanted to do something with the name, and I was changing the name anyway, so I made it easy on them. But I just wanted to. I had since changed partners a couple times,
right?
And I just wanted to go in a different direction, and that's
time for a change.
It was.
Yeah.
And I picked something that kept the same initials.
Well,
so initially it was Presses Intermedia Games, and eventually I dropped the game, so that's why the website's still the same.
Right.
Although PressesIntermedia.com will also work.
Right.
As will RPG.deals.
Right. I'm just a fan of pig games, and that's what I always refer to it as, because I just think it's a great acronym. I like it.
If you want a real treat, type in shatter.zone and see where that goes.
Uh-oh. Do I want to do that?
No.
Is that going to go somewhere bad?
It's perfectly safe.
Okay, I'll definitely check it out. Well, thanks for the question, Alan. I'm sure Brett appreciates it. And like you said, no big conspiracy behind. That's kind of what I had heard, is that you'd gone through some partners and you were ready to change. He says, that's great. I still love the games, and Cardboard Heroes are still one of my favorite products. There you go.
That's Steve Jackson.
Yeah.
Don't get in trouble.
Yeah. Well, you know, you have
mine's Disposable Heroes.
Disposable Heroes. I'm pretty sure that's what he meant.
Steve
now,
Jackson's Cardboard Heroes.
Right. But who was first? You or them?
He was.
He was?
He was.
Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with Steve Jackson. I like the GURP system. I just don't know anybody who plays it.
I used to know one person who played it. Who that's all he played. This was back '90s, I think, and he played Vampire GURPS.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't care for the system. I love the source books.
Yeah.
I mean, they were great for other systems.
One of the things I always say is there's two gaming lines that if you're a real gamer, and that's subjective to terms, of course, but in my opinion, if you're a real gamer, you have at least one GURPS source book and one Palladium source book from either Fantasy or Rifts on your gaming shelf. You may not be proud of it, but you have it because you saw it and you thought it was cool. Because they've both been around for over 20 years, and you can say what you want about the people that own the company or whatever, but some of their shit is cool. You know, and there's something in the GURPS line for everybody.
Martial arts book.
Oh, it's awesome.
Best.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Well, which one? They've had a billion of them. Their Arms and Armor book was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was good too. But there was another. I don't remember now. My mind's gone. I can't.
I'm right there with you, buddy. Yeah. And Alan did say that yes, he was talking about your Cardboard Heroes or your disposable heroes. And see, you got it in my head now too. Damn you, Alan! You're fired. Oh wait, you pay me. Never mind. Yeah, and just for those that know, so there's a good lead-in question. Do you have a Patreon or anything like that, or do you just do everything through your website?
No, I don't. I don't do Patreon. Everything comes from sales off the website, Drive-Thru RPG, and Amazon.
And I didn't know your stuff was available on Amazon. I've never thought to look for it. I've always gone to your website.
Yeah, just about every printed book is on Amazon, and you can do Amazon Europe, UK. Canada.
Okay.
And if you want something outside of those countries, go to bookdepository.com and you can order free shipping through them.
Awesome. That's great to know. I have an affiliate link through Drive-Thru. And so I use a lot of my credit to buy some of your stuff. So it's how
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's you know, my viewers, you know, they use my affiliate link and I get a little kickback. It's not a lot, but hey, it's less money out of my pocket, and 90% of the stuff I buy I review on the channel anyway. So it's kind of like it's just going back into itself. So it's no big deal, and I appreciate it. I appreciate them using the affiliate link because it does help. And Antoine is on. He says, "Good day, good morning, John. Just caught your stream before work." He's over in, I think, Spain, or he's in Europe somewhere, if I remember correctly. Alan Bray is saying that he loves Hard Nova. I have purchased it in several formats. The whole genre division line is good. So there you go, sir. Some more kudos. So
praise going to go to my head.
That's right. Don't.
I also just for anybody who's interested
Ireland
in the genre diversion games, I have the 5-pack. Also, you can either get PDF or print or both, really. So it's Hard Nova 2, Coyote Trail, Earth AD 2, Mean Streets, and Ghost Stories. You can get them all in one bundle at a reduced price.
I'm going to tell you, I fell in
really
You sent me Earth AD, and I reviewed it on the channel, and I fell in love with it. I just such a kick you in the nuts game, you know.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, I like those kind of games. Antoine or Antone, I never can say his name right. He's in Ireland. So
Ireland.
Yeah, I've got some guys in Spain, Ireland. I've got some guys in Saudi Arabia and Dubai. Mr. Mean.
I just sent a package out to Kuwait the other day. It was the first.
Nice. Yeah. I usually try to tell my viewers that if they go to like your site or anywhere else, to tell them Mr. Mean sent you. So you'll have to let me know if you get an order and it's in the notes or something. It says Mr. Mean sent me. That
I
would.
might have seen one. I don't remember. Because there is a field for new customers
Yeah.
to sign up. There's a field of how'd you hear about this. So
Yeah.
I think I remember one mentioning.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to know, man. It tickles my fancy, as the old saying goes. I think that's neat, and like I said,
and I thank you for that too.
Right? You know what? It's fun for me. This is my stress reliever. A lot of my viewers know I was a cop for 10 years, and I was in the military before that, and I was activated for Desert Storm, and I went overseas. And luckily, I was only in country for 2 weeks, and I came back because my eldest son, was just born. So they were like, nope, you're going back. And so it worked out for whatever reason. And I'm thankful that I'm still here to be able to do these fun things and talk to, neat people like you and have my viewers. Like I said, I don't have a ton of viewers, but they're pretty awesome, the ones that I do have. And they all, pretty much the sentiment is the same from all of them. They like my channel because it's like talking to a friend. About the latest game or an old game that, they might have forgotten about. So to me, that means a lot. That's worth more than money, so.
I did catch your last video. Well, the video where you had to run different games that you like, old game, things you've already covered in the past.
Oh,
Shatter Zone being one of them.
Right, the 4 games that didn't get, that I think need more.
I like that format. I like it because I have a short attention span.
Right. And that's what's great about YouTube.
The fact that you jump from one thing to another.
Right. Yeah. And I want to do some more of those. It's always hard, like we talked about earlier, where people like, name your top 5 RPGs. Man, that's hard. That's really, I struggle.
I can do it, but I have to have them all in front of me to look at them.
Right.
I can't remember what they are. Like all the different games. I have so many I can't remember. So I got to look at them and figure it out.
Well, and the problem is I got all these boxes on the side. When you look at my, when I do my videos, you just see my big fat head, and then there's the giant bookshelf behind me, and then there is literally about 15 boxes on the left and right of me that are moving boxes that are chock full of RPGs. So obviously I can't get to those easily because I have this little tiny room that my wife says if I spread out of this room, she will castrate me. And while I'm old and I don't use it a lot, I'd like to keep it,
I had to move all my stuff down the basement.
See, we're trying to buy
room.
We're trying to buy a house next year, and that is the one requirement.
Sorry, the phone's going off, but I'm not answering it.
No worries. My wife, I told my wife you can get whatever house you want, you can get it in whatever configuration you want. The only requirement is that it has to have a basement, a functional basement. I don't want a basement that I got to put $10,000 into, but I want a basement that I can put my recording equipment in and my hobby stuff in, and the basement is mine. You can come down there to do laundry, but everything else is mine. And maybe a freezer, because we have a separate chest freezer that my wife's Southern, and so it's in a house emergency if there's not at least 2 weeks worth of food in the freezer.
So I have a freezer down in the basement too.
Yeah.
I got backup.
Yeah, well, we just my wife's Cajun and she cooks, and hence why I'm 250 pounds plus. When we met, I was 200 pounds, and then I had a 6-pack ab, and I ran 6 miles a day, and those days are gone. Now I sleep 6 hours a day if given the opportunity, and I avoid stairs. But yeah, that's the plan, is to get a house and get the basement and turn it into the gaming mecca if I could, which I'd love to get one of those really nice wormwood gaming tables or something there. Hell, I'd be happy with an old pool table, because that's what we used to use back in the day before they came out with these $10,000 dining room tables that turn into game tables. But so, all right, well. The dream, right? Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, this is my little hobby room, and I paint miniatures, and I read a lot of RPGs and and all that stuff. So, and I prep for my videos, but it's pretty raw format. I don't do a whole lot of editing. Because like I said, I work on computers all day. The last thing I want to do is come home and work on them. So I just record my video. I'm amazed that I don't sit there and go all day. Someone asked me that. How can you sit in front of the camera and not I was like, I don't know. I'm a blabbermouth, I guess. I find it easy, but that's not everybody can do that, I guess. So I guess if they could, there'd be a ton of these channels, right? But well, Brett, sir, thank you so much for the time. I'm gonna wrap it up because I do have to get up and go to work in the morning. Thank you for everyone that attended the stream. Brett, I'd love to have you back on the channel if you'd consider coming back on. Maybe when your new game is getting ready to pop, we can get on and talk about it. That would be awesome, sir. And I'll go on the MeWe site and I'll down. Is it still on the site, the current one?
No, I took it down.
Oh, you did?
Because I changed a lot, and
Okay.
I just didn't want people downloading stuff I changed. So
Right.
it's not currently on there.
Shoot me a message when you do put it up. Well, I follow you on MeWe, so I get all your posts.
If you're interested, I think the Lasers and Six-Siders playtest is still on there.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's not addressed in the media groups in the Swords and Six-Siders.
Okay.
But I think it's still there if that's something that interests you.
Yeah, I mean, everything is content, as the old saying goes. I'm currently reading Torchbearer by Thor Olavsrud and Luke Crane.
I'm not a fan of the system, but I love the ideas of it.
I'm liking how you build a character. I haven't got into the mechanic. I don't mind the D6. I'm not a huge fan of D6 systems. It's not typically my cup of tea. That being said, some of your games do fall into that category that I do enjoy.
Yeah.
But I read the basic mechanics, but he's talking about you need tokens or something like that. And I don't know what those are used for yet. I haven't gotten that far. And I like the character creation. It's very simple, and it's just a couple of choices, and you're up and ready to go. So, like I said, I just downloaded it and printed it today or yesterday, and took it to my UPS store and had it spiral bound. So I'm spending my time reading that when I'm not painting miniatures. So, but yeah, definitely, sir. Big fan. I can't even tell you. It's a treat to be able to talk to you and pick your brain about the industry and about the things you do. It's super cool. I know it's a lot of work, and believe it or not, it is appreciated. And there's at least a couple fans here in the Meanie Army that enjoy your work, so that's awesome. And you guys in the chat, throw your comments up there, and I can always get them to Brett if he doesn't come look at the video himself and decide to answer. And I'm sure we'll get those questions answered if you'd like. So, Brett, anything else you want to say in parting?
No, I just want to thank you again for inviting me. It was a blast. Really.
Thank you, sir. We'll do it again. And with that, I'm gonna end the stream. And Brett, you have an amazing night, sir. And I wish you the best of luck in all your endeavors.
And to you.
All right. Take care, man.
All right.
All right, bye. All right, I've ended the stream. So